Hey, I'm Cody Gibson, and welcome to today's webinar, which thank you so much for being here. This has kind of become this, well, it's becoming a series where we did one last week on business planning, right? Like just my view of business planning, how I see it, how I do it. Um, Thank you for being a part of that one too, if you were there. Many of you signed up for this one. We held this one to 500 participants. So that we could have like an opportunity to have a conversation or a dialogue in the chat box instead of just me. So while we're talking today, if you've got a question or a comment, just drop it down in the chat box, and Lacey in my office will hand me notes throughout of something that we could maybe handle or deal with or answer. We raised almost $13,000 for this incredible cause, No Kid Hungry, this last week. Raised it in like 70 minutes. So thank you. And of course, No Kid Hungry, like it's important to me. It's important to everybody, but I think somebody taught me once that if you're going to choose like a charity or a foundation or a cause, choose something that's close to your heart. Because when it becomes work, it's no longer work; it's just passion. Like you want to see it move forward. And No Kid Hungry's done an incredible job. Like their mission is to eradicate, to remove, to get rid of hunger for kids and teens in America. And like I grew up walking over to the free lunch line, like I was a really, really poor kid. And I was embarrassed, right? And so I would wait around during lunch and I'd walk over to the poor kid line. That's what we called it then. And they'd give me like this brown paper bag. And there were a lot of days that was the best meal that I got. And there was this really, really sweet lady who worked that little cart. And she'd give me two if she had two. Anyway, thank you for raising money for it. This class today, this one is a culmination. This one, I don't think I've taught this one publicly. I've taught it to my own group, of course, United Home Group, many, many times. Our real estate sales team sells today in 96 cities across the country. And I've taught it there for the last 3 or 4 years. I'm almost certain this is the first time ever doing it publicly. And it's called Beat the Seller Scrooge. And the idea behind this is simply a culmination. This is 20 years of best practices, best tips, best ideas, best hacks, if you will, to insulate your real estate sales business during the holidays, during November, during December, and of course to kick off January as well as you possibly can, as strong as you possibly can. So originally billed at 23 a few years ago when I first built it, and then it went to 28 best tips and practices. I think as Lacey and I were getting ready for this, we ended up at 32 or 31. So there'll be some extra ones today. Listen, you raised $3,000 in this one, of course, much smaller class than last week. You raised $3,000 just at this point for No Kid Hungry. Every single penny goes to No Kid Hungry. I'm donating my time. I'm happy to do it. It's my pleasure. But if you'd like to give some more money, $1 or a bazillion dollars, you can do it during the webinar. Think of it like a tip jar. If I'm doing a great job, maybe throw in a tip, right? If you like something that we said, every dollar goes there. The easiest way to do it, PayPal is codygibson@kw.com, codygibson@kw.com. Love to have you donate there. And then Venmo, if you'd rather use Venmo, it's Cody-Gibson-14. Cody-Gibson-14. You can also go to codygibson.com. And if you go to codygibson.com, there'll be thanks, Lacey, I see you putting those in there. There'll be a link on codygibson.com that you can donate there as well. And Lacey, is there any way if they missed the business planning class, can they still get a review of it or a replay?
Yeah, they just want to email codygibson@kw.com.
All right. So if you missed the business planning class and you didn't get it, shoot me an email, codygibson@kw.com. We do have the replay of it. Of course, it's going to cost you a small donation to No Kid Hungry. You choose how much. All right, let's roll. Lacey, can you queue up these slides and we'll start going through them. These, oh, by the way, while we're doing that, there is going to be another event in this series, and I think it'll be the last one of the year. It's going to be November the 19th at 11 a.m. November 19th, 11 a.m. Lacey will drop the details of that into the chat box, and she'll also give you a quick sign up that you can use today. But it's only going to be mindset. I've had so many requests in the last 3 months or 4 months speaking 2 and 3 times a day. My most requested conversation is mindset, like how we think internally. And so I'm going to do one just on mindset. It won't be about selling homes. It won't be about building a real estate sales business, but that'll be November the 19th, 11 a.m. And I'm going to cover the 13, like what I think are the 13 mindset realities. And I'm going to cover, and this is just my, like, just my stuff. The 6 ways to get back up when you're down. And I'm going to deal with rejection. I'm going to deal with how I view rejection and what I think it means and why I think it's the single biggest reason why salespeople don't move forward. So we'll do that on November the 19th, 11 a.m. It'll be free again. We'll ask for donations for No Kid Hungry, and that'll, I think, be the third and final in this series. So if you're watching this today or a replay of this, we will hold that one to 1,000 people, though. And so that one will sell out very fast. If you want to do it, please, please, please hop into it. All right, Lacey, are these slides ready? Great. So on your side, Zoom has gotten so much better during all of this. On your side, you can kind of play with how big you want the slides or how big you want my video. You can make the video of me much smaller, which will increase the attractiveness of the presentation, and you can have more of the slides. So we'll also do, we don't hand out the slides. We don't give them, but of course you have the replay, so enjoy. All right, so number one, holiday marketing plans. The problem that you have, I mean, I've sold almost 40,000 homes in my real estate sales career. It's a lot of homes, either through the businesses I've owned or directly on my team or directly sitting at someone's kitchen table. It's a lot of sales. And the only thing that means is that I've learned a lot of ways things won't work. I've also learned a lot of ways that things do work. Now, some of the things I'll share this morning really work in every single market, but this year is a little bit different. And I'll give you some tweaks of how I would do it this year. But the challenge is it won't change forever. It won't be changed forever. So some of these things will work at this level this year and work at this level next year. So you might as well have your business popping either way. Holiday marketing plans. Every single one of you has to have a holiday marketing plan. And you can create your own. You can literally write your own, but you need to have one. Remember, in selling, it's almost about storytelling. And in selling, it's almost about having a story to tell. One of the reasons that we don't make calls, one of the reasons that we don't talk to people is we frankly don't have anything worth a damn to say. And so go out and create a holiday marketing plan. And your holiday marketing plan is going to look a little different than mine. My holiday marketing plan will have 11 or 12 bullets on it. And what I want you to do is I want you to talk to every single seller, because what you're hearing already, like this is why we're doing it right now, early in November. Like you're already hearing, let's wait till after the holidays. You're already hearing, hey, let's wait till after Christmas. By the way, you also have one of the strongest, fastest real estate sales markets in history, which gives itself and alludes itself to the idea of, hey, to hell with it. Let's just wait till after the holidays. Everything is so crazy. Everything is so fast right now. Everything is so good. I'll just wait and sell in January, which is tough for you. And I don't even think it's the best thing for the seller. One of the things you'll find as I go through these today with you is that what I like about great scripts and dialogues that are honest, that are truthful, is that they're easy for me to say. I really struggle with scripts and dialogues that get taught usually by real estate gurus that don't even sell homes or maybe never did. And even if they, it's just a bunch of garbage. Like when you say it, you're like, I'm not even sure I would believe this. And so for me, I've always been easy to do great scripts and dialogues that I believe. And I honestly believe that the best time for somebody to sell is when there's less listings on the market. And there's no better time than November and December for less listings on the market. And I'll talk about what I mean by that. And I'll give you, I think there's four or maybe 5 of these best practices. Again, this is a culmination of 20 years. These are the things that work. They work over time, every time. So go create a holiday marketing plan. We're going to dive into a little bit more. We'll give you some more ideas, but have one. Number 2, I want you to counter prospect. There's no better time than right now to go in. It doesn't even matter what. I just looked at my phone real quick and I've got notifications of Venmo. Thank you. Someone's coughing up some money. Thank you. That's so cool. I'm going to put this away because I'm like a dog. It's like, twirl, and I'm going to get confused. Counter prospect. Whatever CRM you're using, right? Like whatever bucket you're using for internet lead generation, this is the time. And by the way, if your internet lead generation CRM or system or whatever, like if you can't go in and get eyeballs on who's been looking at specific homes, go get one that you can. And so what I mean by counter prospect is this, you've got to be watching the market like a hawk right now. And then you go and you're like internet lead generation. Someone said to me last week, they go, oh yeah, internet lead generation doesn't work. Screw you. Internet lead generation works incredibly well. Somebody else said internet lead generation takes too long. everything takes long. Like, I mean, I don't know, unless you're gonna retire this year, you should be in the internet lead generation. I mean, here's your buyers and sellers are already there. So for a realtor to say, I don't want to, or it's not my thing, I mean, I don't know. I just think that's really selfish. The buyers and sellers are there. So I think that you have to be there. Like, we don't get to drive the business. All our job is to be in front of the business. And when I really learned that, like when I really got that it wasn't my job to drive it, it was my job to be in front of it, it didn't matter what I wanted to do anymore. So my point is this: we sold a home in Portland maybe 2 months ago, that's been bouncing around our internet lead generation bucket for like 5 years. That's a long freaking time. That's a long time for someone to say, hey, take me off your list, or don't call me, or I'm good, or I'm just looking right now, blah, blah, blah. That's a long time. And most don't take that long, right? But this is where you counter prospect. This is where every time a new listing comes on the market, this is where every time you take something, this is where every time something happens, or I'll talk about withdrawn listings. I forget which number they are. But when I get to withdrawn listings, come back and think about counter prospecting again with me. But this is where you go and you look and you go boop, 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 and you go, I got 14 people that are looking for this kind of home, or I've got 25 people that are looking for this kind of home. And then you counter prospect to them. Don't rely on the auto notifications. They're lame. They're not bad. They just suck because they look like auto notifications. They pop up on someone's phone because they're a part of your website or Zillow or whatever. And it goes, hey, we have a new listing, but it's dry. It's bland. And when I talk about making hot buy videos, which I forget what number that is too, come back and think about counter prospecting. All right, number 3, get a lender discount and run a December special. Go talk to your favorite lender and say, listen, it doesn't even matter what it is. It doesn't matter what it is. People love free shit, so it doesn't matter. Go to your favorite lender and get your lender, get her to offer, I don't know. I mean, in your city or your state, if the buyer typically pays for the appraisal, then maybe they could offer a free appraisal credit, or maybe they could do a buy down, or they could do a rate float, or whatever it is. Like, it doesn't matter to me. It's just a reason to be in touch with people. And so go to your lender and get some type of special. And by the way, you would put some expiration date on it, right? All you're doing is you're just kicking bushes looking for something to fall out. Some of this, that's all that is. And what we're doing is we're reaching, right? Like, we're doing whatever we can. We're literally creating business. This kind of thing is business creation. It's not business pick it up. Like, you have to go build it. You have to create it out of thin air. And so I'd go to my lender. I did this for years and years and years. My thing was usually either a discount point, some type of special on the rate, or a credit. So like a $500 credit at closing costs, or like whatever's appropriate in your state. Every state's a little different and every lender's a little bit different. But what you're going to do is this: you're going to say, if you're pre-qualified before X date. So I like December 31. So if you get pre-qualified, it doesn't even matter when you buy. Or you could say, if you buy within 6 months or 12 months, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This is just a reason to be in touch with people. The reason that most people don't contact their database, the reason that most people don't communicate with anybody, is because they have nothing worth saying. So create something worth saying. So get with your lender, do a discount, and run a special. So I do now through the end of the year. And this is just an excuse. This is an excuse. And this is where I taught something this year at a giant convention for KW, where it was hacks. I think it was 13 or 14 hacks to run your business. And one of them was 1 + 1 can't equal 2. And I think at the highest level of my business, when I've been the most strategic, I mean, if you want to go big, you can't believe 1 + 1 is 2. 1 + 1 has to equal 6. 1 + 1 has to equal 7. In other words, every single thing you freaking do has to have 4 wins, 5 wins, 6 wins behind it or around it. So what I found by the lender discount was I originally did it the first time because, well, I was broke during the holidays. And I'm like, well, what in the hell am I going to do to create? I mean, I've lived on a commission for a long time. It's in my entire adult life. 20 years, my income has been, I don't know what it's going to be tomorrow or next week or next month. And to a degree, you get used to that. You're also not stuck with it. The reason that my business, when I sold full-time on my own from 2000 to 06, the reason it was incredible during November and December usually was simply because I hated wintertime activities. I hated winter sports. I mean, I lived in Alaska, so it was horrendous in November and December for me. And I would fish and I would play golf all summer, and I would constantly be doing things, but I worked my ass off like in October, November, December, January. And so my business was really, really good during those months. But when I started buying real estate businesses and building real estate businesses, what I found was the real estate business sucks from October until like usually, I mean, the joke is basically from Halloween until about Valentine's Day. The MLS, the brokerage, like the giant businesses. Now your business might be up during those months. That's great. But the industry is almost never up during those months. Like I've got a real estate brokerage in Portland. We've got we have hundreds of agents there. Our business is hard in November, December, January, because at some level, the bigger you get, and for my friends that are watching that run giant teams, or you want to build a giant team, what you're going to find is the bigger you get, the gianter you become, the more you're going to ride the waves of what the market does, regardless of what you do. So it doesn't matter. But anyway, so back to the lender discount, right? What I found was 1 + 1 couldn't equal 2 was a point I was on 15 minutes ago when I went on some other rant. But the conversation went like this. I'd offer the discount before December 31st, and I would say something like, listen, if you're thinking about buying sometime in the next 12 months, just get pre-qualified right now, start the process right now. You've got the discount, even if it's next July or next August or next October, it doesn't matter. And what I found was by doing that, it was almost like fishing. And I started getting nibbles or bites, if you will, from my database of people that were like, well, I don't know, I'm probably a year and a half away. Perfect. I'm going to be in business in a year and a half, so I just need to match my behavior to their motivation. But what I found was people started saying things that I had no idea, and I started getting like tips, if you would, of future business. Or somebody would say, "Listen, I saw that you sent this out to me. My best friend wants to buy. Could they get the discount?" Let me check. Yep, yeah, they can get the discount. What's their name, their name and number? But this is where 1 + 1 can't equal 2. So that's number 3. All right, number 4, search FSBO opens. In your market, if you've got for sale by owners, in some markets across the country, like in my group, being in almost 100 cities, man, there's some markets that we go to look up for sale by owners, and there's like hardly any. There's like next to none. By the way, for sale by owners and expireds, always come back. They might not be massive today, but they always come back. In your area, if you've got FSBO opens that are happening, or if you've got somebody holding their own house open during the holidays, all that says is motivation. All that says is on a scale of 1 to 10, like they're a 9 or a 10 motivation, and go visit them, like go see them. The greatest, we always keep track of where our business comes from, right? And we'll sell, like my personal sales group this year, we'll push almost 1,500 units this year. Like we'll sell a lot of homes, and we always keep track of our lead sources so we know what to put more money into and what not to put money into. And one of our top 5 lead sources for years has been for sale by owners. And people are like, no, that's not true. Yeah, it's 100% true. Like we still work for sale by owners. We work the hell out of them. So people that have FSBO opens, go see them. Just go see them. By the way, when you think about it like this, someone goes, what am I going to say when I get there? I think you ought to say hi. I think you ought to say hello. And I think you ought to talk to them. Like it doesn't take, I've sold thousands of for sale by owners. There's lots of good scripts, lots of good dialogues, but there is no script and no dialogue better than being authentic and showing up. And people go, well, what if I don't get the listing? Listen, Scooter, you already don't have the listing. Like you don't have it. It's like the girl you really want to go out with and you don't have a date. Like you ask and she says no or no thanks or get the hell out of here. You've not gone backwards. Like you're at the same place. You already don't have the listing. You already don't have the date. So it can't get worse from here. By the way, when I talk about rejection in that event on November 19th, I'll go much deeper on that, like what that means. All right, so search for them and go see them. Number 5. By the way, number 4, offer your holiday marketing plan to for sale by owners. Go to them and say, listen, I've got this holiday marketing plan. By the way, here's an easy script. We're both in the business of selling homes. You're just trying to sell one and I sell them all. You'll drop that into the conversation. Trust me, it's a great script to use. You can go back and watch the recording if you didn't catch it, but offer it. Be like, listen, and what I've developed is a holiday marketing plan that works for my sellers. We always do well with it. Would you like a copy of it, or can I send you a copy of it? Would you be offended if I gave it to you? Of course, the answer is no, I wouldn't be offended, which is the double no yes close. All right, I'm off track. Number 5, place buyer listings in folders. I did this for years and years and years. If you have 2 lenders you use, do you just go all in with one? This is a good question. I don't love having 2 lenders. I don't think it's wrong. I don't know. I've got a couple of lenders that I'll use, like that do like only a special type of loan. And if I have a special type of buyer or like a spot loan for a condo that can't go FHA or something like that, like, and it's just a very, very exclusive type loan, I will use a second lender there. But I think you ought to have one lender and pour everything into him or her. That's what I think you should do. I don't like spreading it around. I think you ought to have one lender and put it all in there. It was Warren Buffett that said, he said, some people say, don't put all your eggs in one basket. He said, I don't know. He said, I think the quote was, I think he said, I'm pretty rich. I think you ought to put your eggs in one basket and then take really good care of the basket. And that's how I look at having multiple lenders, unless you have some reason you have to have multiple lenders. But do I go all in on one? I would. And if you don't, that's fine too. But it's kind of like title companies, right? Like, I mean, I looked down one day and I realized that one of the greatest assets I had to my company and my business was my title affiliation with my title executive. And I realized I had run my business opposite of that for years and years and years. I had looked at them as people who just brought donuts by the office or people that just handed me pens because they did. But what I realized was there was nobody in my market that knew more about real estate than the title executives did, than the title businesses did. And that was when I really started doubling down and putting all of my business into one title, and I mean, for me, I don't know. I would just use one. All right, great question. Place buyer listings in a folder. There is no better reason to list with you than if you have buyers. I know that realtors have lots of ideas and snazzy things to say about why people list with them or why somebody should choose them. But at the end of the day, the reason the consumer would choose you is they think that you have buyers. And so if you're still doing, if you're doing presentations in people's homes or you're doing them in person at your office or whatever, I like paper. I like things that you can touch and feel. I'm incredibly technology driven, but there's a few things that I want to actually touch or feel, kind of like how I still write everything on cards and I get ready with that. But you would put it in a folder and you would show it to them and you'd say, listen, here's all the active buyers that I'm working with. These are all the people that have signed a buyer listing contract with me, which if we had time, we'd go deeper into how you would use the scripts around that. But these are all the people that have one, been pre-qualified, two, signed an agreement saying they'd only buy from me. And by the way, as I go through here, here's 20 that fit your home. Here's 25 that fit your type of listing. These are the people I go to first. Put them in a folder. If you're doing them virtually, right, then you can do it. You just got to do it a little bit different. You just got to show it to them differently. Number 6, do the Facebook A to Z. There is no better time than November and December to do Facebook A to Z. Facebook A to Z is something that I learned from my man Ryan up in Canada. I've been an agent up there for years and years. He's awesome. Anyway, I stole the idea of Facebook A to Z. He said it and I was like, that's brilliant. Here's what the Facebook A to Z is. By the way, Facebook A to Z in my company, we sold over just in my own sales team, not even the real estate businesses, just in the team. We sold over 112 homes last month. And I think it was either number 4 or number 5 lead source was Facebook A to Z. I promise you it works. And here's Facebook A to Z in its simplest terms. This is one of those things that's just like so basic. You're like, oh my God, that's so simple. And what I've learned is simplistic is what works at the highest possible levels. We complicate shit and we don't need to. All right, so back to Facebook A to Z. There's 26 letters in the alphabet. There's 30 days in most months, right? So what you would do is you would just go and you'd look in Facebook today and you'd go all of the A's and you'd send everybody with the last name A or first name, you choose, a quick direct message. And tomorrow you would send a quick message to all the B's. The next day you would do all the C's. For the men listening, let me keep it really simple for you. The next day it's all the D's and then it's the E's. And every month you'll have talked to every single person or sent something to every single person. Now, the problem is this, right? Like, here's the rules. Here's what we've learned from doing Facebook A to Z. I think we're about 6 years deep in doing it. In my group, here's what we've learned. Number 1, can't talk about business. You don't send a message saying, do you want to buy a home right now? That's ridiculous. Don't do that. Facebook A to Z, short, keep it short. So think about like, I think Twitter, you're allowed to have 240 or 260 characters, whatever the number is. It's not a whole lot. And there's probably somebody incredibly smart out there who figured out that was someone's attention span. And so that's why they use that as a number. So I think your Facebook A to Z should sound kind of like that, something short. You have the easiest one on the freaking planet to do during November. Hey, what are you guys doing for Thanksgiving this year? Hey, do you have any cool Thanksgiving plans this year? Hey, are you traveling for the holidays this year? Blah, blah, blah. It doesn't freaking matter. It just can't be about business. It just can't be about business. Trust me, they know you're a real estate agent. If they need you, it'll come up. This is just connection time. This is just to connect. all the A's, tomorrow all the B's, the next day all the C's. And what you'll find is next month you talk to them all again. And people go, well, what if they don't respond? Who cares? It's one way. You don't have to respond. They saw it. You're good. There's no reason. Trust me. This is overkill over time. Facebook A to Z is so easy. Now, what I don't know is what the hell we're going to do when Facebook dies. Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, all I know is this, like, for social media, Facebook's been king for a really long time, but my son's 18. He's not even on Facebook. He's like, Dad, I said something Facebook. And he goes, yeah, that's for old people. And I'm like, well, I like it. And he goes, exactly. So I don't know what we're going to do when Facebook isn't king anymore, but today it might be. All right, Facebook A to Z. Christmas, I mean, Christmas, you got the easiest one on earth, right? In November, you got the second easiest one on December. All right. Number 7, email and call your SOI, your sphere of influence, your database to check motivation. This is almost like a temperature check. It's like you're just reaching out just to check. This one is incredibly direct. This is a direct email or a direct call. It's not the Facebook A to Z. That's indirect. This is direct. This is where you email them or you call them and you say, listen, and here's the script I would use. There's no better time to maximize potential profit in your home than November and December in our market because of scarcity and exclusivity. That's the script. That's the comment. By the way, it's incredibly true. I thought I'd check in with you. Do you need to sell right now, or do you know anybody who does? This one is very direct. Now, if this is the only time you've communicated with them this year, that's a problem. Like, you should have communicated more. Like the old Chinese proverb, right? Like, when's the best time to plant a tree? Probably 20 years ago. The second best time right now. And so if this is the only touch for the year, I don't know. Like, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. If it's the only touch of the year, you probably don't care about your database anyway, so who cares? Move on. But this one's very direct, very direct. Number 8, the decision continuum is king during the holidays. The decision continuum is one of the biggest things I've learned in my business and in life, right? Like, somebody says no or someone says yes. And we have this ridiculous belief that a no is a no and a yes is a yes. A no is not a no. No is usually almost never no forever. And yes is almost never yes forever. It's no, maybe. It's yes, maybe. And life, the continuum swings in the middle, right? So here's an easy example. Do you want to sell your home? No. They find out a week later that they're being transferred. Yes, I need to sell my house. No doesn't last. Yes doesn't last. Like, there's a business one, but look at relationship, right? Or look at marriage. Somebody said yes at the courthouse, or somebody said yes at a wedding, but is that yes forever? US statistics will tell you that almost 60% of the time it is not yes forever. It's yes until you do these things. It's yes until you stop doing these things. You treat me like this, the answer becomes no right away. The decision continuum. You have to quit believing people when they say yes or no. For years, I've called for sale by owners. Here's another easy example. Would you like to hire me to sell your house? No. Why? Because I'll save the commission. True. Yes. 100% yes. However, almost 91% of all for sale by owners that actually sell end up selling with a realtor and paying commission. So when they say they won't, that's their absolute truth, which is why it comes across so forceful, because they believe it. It's not a lie. They just don't know the truth yet, which is why this is a timing game. So the decision continuum, you just can't take that shit personally. Like, the decision continuum, yes doesn't mean yes forever. Somebody buys a house and they're yes. They go and do the home inspection and find out there's all these problems, and it's like, no. Yes doesn't stay yes forever. No doesn't stay no forever. I'll tell you this, like, in my world, understanding the decision continuum is the one thing that gives me hope every day, anywhere in my life. No, maybe. Yes, maybe. Do you get me on this? All right, next. Number 9, set parameters for showings. This one is awesome. By the way, I do this one all year long if I can, but it's for a very different reason. And so in a different class, I teach about that, but I think that's in the 51 list when we do that one. But setting parameters for showings. This is part of the holiday marketing plan. Your sellers are not excited about selling during the holidays. They're worried about somebody traipsing through their house. They're worried about having to be interrupted. They're worried about having friends or guests over, or their house is completely packed the week of Thanksgiving, or whatever the hell is going on. They don't love the idea of being listed during the holidays, and they shouldn't. Nobody does. And so what you would do is this. Part of your holiday marketing plan is you would say, listen, we're going to throttle, we're going to choke the number of showings that we're going to allow. We're only going to allow showings during these hours. We're only going to allow showings during these days. I went so far. I mean, you could do it however you want, but when my business was much smaller and I worked with the sellers directly, I took the lock boxes off. And I said, listen, during November and December, I don't allow lock boxes because I don't want somebody showing up unannounced. I don't want somebody having access. I'm going to come out for each of those showings, or I'll send my assistant out. Now, some of you hear that and you go, that's a terrible idea. I'm totally cool with however you want to implement this. That was just the way that I did it. So you do it however you want. By the way, the highest class problem you could have is to have so many listings you can't do that. That's freaking great. Good for you. Great. I got there too. So setting parameters, this is where you alleviate the stress, which is why you talk to every single seller. All of your active sellers right now, if you haven't talked with them already, you got to go to them right now and be like, listen, John, I wanted to have a conversation. Let's get together and talk about my holiday marketing plan before we get any closer to Thanksgiving. Because I promise you, each one of your sellers right now that are active with you are thinking about calling you and saying, let's come off the market during the holidays. I promise the thought's in their mind. Unless there's some reason they have to move by Christmas time, they're thinking about it. So you might as well take it to them. I like to play offense. I don't like to play defense. It's incredibly difficult. It's rare to score on defense, but I can score on offense. And so give the parameters to them, set it, go to them before they come to you. Now, the thing is this, you and I both know if you set parameters for showings, a smart realtor is going to call and say, well, that doesn't work for my buyer. Is there any, of course, the one-off stuff, of course. All right, number 10, call all those active listings. It's what I just said. You have to have a conversation with them. If you've got 12 active listings right now, call and talk to all 12 and sit down specifically with them to develop their holiday marketing plan. By the way, you've got two of them. You have the generic one and you have the specific one. And that's what you say. You say, listen, John, Cindy, those are my pet names for buyers and sellers. Listen, John and Cindy, I'd like to cover my holiday marketing plan. And then I'd like to make specific tweaks so that it's custom to you, custom to your event this year, custom to your travel plans. Trust me, you enjoying the holidays is more important to me than getting the home sold. But getting the home sold is more important to what you do next. Do you get me? This is a big script. Go back and listen to it. Use it. All right. So call those active listings. Number 11. Set a goal to take blank listings during the holidays. As much as you might have, and I'm going to give you in a minute. I'm going to give you the number one reason why people should list with you during the holidays and the conversation you could have with them to get them to see it so that it's true. Remember, like I love sales. I love being a salesperson. It's the greatest honor. Like I love being a salesperson, and being a salesperson is helping people understand something so they make the right decision to get where they want to go. So anyway, no matter how amazing you are, there's going to be somebody who will not list during the holidays. They're going to wait. That's fine. And so in my real estate practice, like when I sold directly, my goal was always 6. My goal was always to have 6 during November and December that didn't go live during November and December. They were a backlog of pre-signed listings, post-dated listings, if you will, whatever's appropriate in your market. Every time I say that, somebody sends me a message about their MLS. It's just a generic statement. You do what works in your MLS. Cool. So for me, it was always 6 active listings during the holidays, or 6 new listings that didn't go active. They went active on January 2. But let me talk in a minute about why that's so important. So you set yours, right? Like I'd take tons of listings in November and December that go active in November and December because people pay attention and they listen and they take your advice. The ones that won't, you might as well get them post-dated or whatever's appropriate to come active on January 2 before the bubble day. And I'll talk in a minute about what the bubble day means. The bubble day in January is this. I want you to go back and do some research. Go back and look in your MLS. Look in your MLS, January of 2020. Look January of 19. You could even go back to January of 18 if your MLS has that kind of data. You can also have a conversation with your title executive. Like, remember, the smartest people in your city is title. Nobody does more business than title, because everything ends up there at some point. But you find the bubble day, and the bubble day is this. There's going to be a day. It's usually, in most markets, it's usually the second Monday or the second Tuesday of January, unless that lands too early in the month. It's almost always the middle of the month. You know how it's like weird, like Thanksgiving one year is the third, like you get my point. Early month, late month, whatever. The bubble day, though, is this. It's when everything hits the market. It's when the inventory goes whew, and it jumps up. And what happens is, and here's the conversation, someone says, oh, I'd like to wait till after the holidays, and you have the dialogue with them about why that's a horrible idea. Listen, there's two cousins that play really well together, and those two cousins are exclusivity and scarcity. And there's no time better than November and December. And you also have to have the conversation. There is one magical period of time that both buyer and seller have a level 10 motivator. It's November and December. Listen, buyers that aren't heavily motivated are not traipsing around looking at homes right now. Buyers who aren't motivated aren't out looking at homes. They're doing whatever they're doing during the holidays. Sellers who aren't motivated aren't letting people walk through their house right now. It's a motive. It's the only time of the year that everybody's motivated at an incredible level. Like they're level 9s, active buyers, active sellers, huge motivation. That's the dialogue. By the way, it's true. That's the dialogue with sellers. And you say, that's why selling during November and December will probably make you more money than selling in the spring. People go, oh, I want to wait for the spring selling market. Well, that's a dumb statement, because the selling market simply means that more homes sell. It doesn't mean you get more money. It simply means there's more home sales, because that's when people sell their home more often in most markets. But November and December, you actually net more money. There's less listings to look at. There's less competition. If you're ever selling a product, why would you choose to sell it when there's more competition? That makes no sense. But it's just about getting people to understand that. So anyway, so go back to the bubble day. You're going to find the day. It's usually the second Tuesday or second Monday of the month, middle month. You're going to find it. And the inventory will usually jump 8, 10, even 15%. That's a massive jump on one day. And that's the backlog of everybody who said, I'm going to wait till after the holidays, which means this: on January 2 or 3, you get back in touch with the person. On 4 or 5, you go meet. On 7, you order photos. On 10, you get the photos back, blah, 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 blah. You get the home cleaned. You know exactly how this goes. It slides all the way till the 14th or the 17th or the 19th, whatever the bubble day is. By the way, if you won't, I'll just say it. If you won't take the time to go and research and find the bubble day so you could give great, smart, economic, expert advice to your people, then just get the hell out of our business. Like, just leave the industry and go do something else. I don't know how else to say that. I think that if you're a real estate agent and you actually want to help people, I don't think it's too much of an ask to say, listen, I don't think it's too much of a request to say, let's go spend some time and know the numbers to give incredible advice. By the way, if I know you as a person, as a real estate agent, if you chose this business, you really want to help people. You like helping people. So go find the bubble day and then tell them the truth. Show it to them. If you could show them on a graph, show it to them and say, listen, in 18, 19, and 20, in these 3 consecutive years, inventory popped 8 or 12. Or I saw one the other day in one of the markets we sell in, 22%. There was like 22% more listings by the bubble day January 1. That means more competition. If you've got more to choose from, value goes down. Everybody freaking knows that. So show it to them. Show it to them. All right, number 13. Open houses near shopping centers, schools, and churches. Listen, I love Christmas time, and it's not just because of Michael Bublé. This is the one time of year that I used to specifically and strategically go and sit open houses near shopping centers, like near malls, right? Because they're busy. Now, the rest of the year, I would sit open houses on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays. I'd sit open houses during the week near elementary schools, because every day at 2:30 in the afternoon, there's a whole line of cars of moms and dads that are picking up kids from elementary schools. I'm an opportunist. I'm a strategist, which means I'm going to sit in an open house at 2:30 on a main road going there. It's also why, this is ridiculous and not part of the holiday beat the seller Scrooge, but I used to sit open houses near Costco on Tuesdays and Thursdays in the morning. And the only reason why was that Tuesdays and Thursdays in the morning was when business owners would go to Costco, because that was the morning that they replenished everything, like all the food, and had new food come in. And what I found was I had more, how do you find the bubble day? And I had more and more people that were driving to Costco, and I just had more traffic. So anyway, so go back, find open houses. If you can sit them in your market, I know some markets you can't yet or whatever, but do them near shopping centers, do them near malls, do them near schools, do them near churches. Like, churches are the busiest they've ever been during November and December. There's more pageants, there's more get-togethers, there's more services, there's special things. I know in some cities they're not meeting again. I understand all that. That's where this is something that works for a career. Maybe it doesn't always work for the year. How do you find the bubble day? The easiest way to find the bubble day is you look at active listings. Like you have to look at, you have to look at your MLS and go, all right, how many active listings on January 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4? You're going to find the day or the series of days that it pops up 10 or 12 or even more percent. That's how you find the bubble day. Number 14, also work with title. That's an easy one to go do. Market a vendor discount. So I talked about lenders, but go find a vendor discount. One of the ones I love to do was holiday lights, right? Not everybody puts up holiday lights, and I totally get that. But you've got wintertime, you've got Christmas, you've got all these things. What I loved to do was to go to like my favorite handyman or my favorite contractor and be like, listen, will you give 2 hours free labor, or will you do $50 off? Or it doesn't even matter what it was. It was just an excuse to communicate to my database. The holiday lights one is great though. You go and you find somebody who hangs holiday lights, and you say, listen, would you give them a free string of lights, or would you give them 20% off the bill or whatever? And what you do is then you take it to your database and you say, listen, I've already prepaid for 20% of your holiday lights to go up, or I've already bought 2 strings of lights, or whatever it is that you've worked out with the contractor, which they shouldn't charge you. You should never pay for it. The payment is you giving it to your database. But just imagine you go and find the deal. Then you go to your database of 800 or 8,000 people, whatever the number is, and you say, hey, this is available to you. That's touch number 1. No one's offended. Touch number 2 is, hey, it was only available for a month, or did you take advantage of it? I'm curious if it helped you. That's touch number 2. Neither one's about real estate. The more touches you could have with people that have nothing to do about selling homes directly, the more homes you'll sell directly. So go find a vendor discount. Get somebody. You could do, cleaning. Cleaning is a great one during the holidays. Like everybody wants to have their house cleaned. And so whoever it is that cleans your home, which should probably be cleaning your home for free. By the way, the person that mows your lawn should probably be mowing your lawn for free. The person that puts up the holiday lights at your house should probably be putting up your holiday lights for free. The contractor, are you getting my point? Like all these vendors you work with, all these people that you work with, you should be blasting their business so well that they have so much business that they say to you, there's no way I'd ever charge you. Why wouldn't you live a life like that? The real estate agent should be the most connected person in your city. You should be the most connected. That's who you should be. All right, so market a vendor discount. Give it to them, then come back and circle back and check. I did them all year long, but at least do them during November and December. It's an easy way to be in touch. All right, number 15, send a Santa letter touch. This one's fun. If you go to the Google machine, the internet machine, you'll find that there's an address that you could mail a letter to for Santa Claus. And you can find them where they will send a letter back, or they'll send a thank you or whatever. But anyway, what you could do is this, and there's 3 or 4 main ways to pull this one off, but I need you to hear what I'm about to say. The reason you do it is the marketing around it. The marketing around it is the sizzle. There's sizzle and there's steak. If you've ever worked in food service, if you've ever been like a waiter or a waitress, you learned real fast the easiest way. And if you didn't ever work in food service, like I didn't work in food service, the closest thing I got to food service was a food business that I opened, lost a ton of money on, and closed it. That sucked. That's the closest I ever got. But I like to eat, and I eat a lot. What a parent learns, even if they weren't in the food service, is the easiest way to get a great tip. The easiest way to boost your tip is to focus on the kids. You know it. Like the pathway to the tip is through the kids. So what you do in the real estate business is you send a Santa letter, a Santa touch, a letter, send a Santa letter touch. It's a lot of words. You'll send it to them. Now, what I liked to do was I put it in the mail in an envelope. You might choose to do it digitally, totally fine. Your data bank might be 25,000 people, and you might not want to spend X amount of money for that many touches. Totally cool with me. However you disseminate it is up to you. You can do it virtually, whatever it is. But I would send it, and I would say, listen, I was thinking about your kids. If I had their names, I'd use them from the CRM. By the way, if you're calling them enough, you know their kids' names. You don't remember them, but you can see them, same thing. And so you go, I was thinking about Johnny and Sally. If they're into this year, here's a pre-addressed envelope to the North Pole. And by the way, here's a pre-printed letter that they can send. By the way, your logo is tiny on it. This isn't about you, but it can still be there. And send it to them. And all you're doing is saying, I was thinking about your kids. That's all that says. So send a Santa letter touch. If you don't do this right now, look at me. If you don't do this right now, like you've got probably a week or 2 to pull this off. If you don't do it, then you're not going to do it. Because if you don't do it before Thanksgiving, you're probably not going to wake up on Thanksgiving Day and go, yes, I'm going to send my letter touch today. You're not going to do that. And so then it's going to be December 1, and then you're going to forget to do it. And then it's December the 8th, and you're going to go, well, that was a great idea that I didn't do in time. So don't do that. Just like Christmas cards. Like if you send out Christmas cards, if you've been a realtor for any amount of time, I've done it for 20 years. If you've done it for any amount of time, you've planned Christmas cards that you didn't send out, that then didn't go out in time, that then they were too late, that became Happy New Year's cards that didn't go out, that then you're like, well, shit, I'll just make them Valentine's cards. I love you and I love real estate and I love referrals. That plays well together, but that doesn't go. And you go, well, this was the last year. And as a realtor, like you quit buying Christmas cards with the date because you realize you're going to send them a year later anyway. So you got to get this out now. Number 16, speaking of calendars, this is where you grab a calendar and you get fierce. This is where you grab a calendar and you pick the days you're not going to work, and then you work your ass off the rest of the time. This is what I told my own group the other day. I said, if you're independently wealthy right now, if you've got all the money that you want, then take all the time off you want during the holidays. But if you're not making all the money that you want, I need you to hear it. I need you to hear this the way I mean it. You didn't earn the right for time off. You didn't earn it. Like you didn't earn it. I remember being on a family vacation once and I couldn't afford it. Like everything was on credit card. I was broke. I probably should have canceled the trip. Spent the entire time thinking, what the hell am I doing here? Like, yeah, I'm on a trip and I'm with the family and that's cool, but I'm broke. Like I shouldn't be here. And I remember thinking the entire time, I didn't earn the right to be here, and I'm not doing this again. They say if you're in a hole, quit digging. That works for money too. Quit digging. Get a calendar, get fierce. That doesn't, I mean, even if I said, work your ass off during the holidays, you're broke, you got to work. Even if you go, yeah, Cody, I agree, I'm in, you're still not going to work on Christmas Eve. You're still not going to work Christmas morning. And by the way, your database probably doesn't want to hear from you on Christmas morning. Like you're still going to take time off. So grab a calendar, pick the days that you're not going to work or the times you're not going to work, but every other moment is absolute work. There's no reason that you can't work harder right now than ever before and still take time and still spend time with your family. It's a matter of implementation. It's not a matter of wishing. It's a matter of actually doing it. But you got to protect it. You got to build a fortress around it or it's never going to work. Grab a calendar, get fierce, and then tell your family and say, listen, here's the days you're not going to see me. Like this is the day that I'm going to come home. We're going to have dinner, or you're working from home, whatever. We're going to have dinner. I'm going to go back to work. If your business needs it, then do it. The other reason it is so incredibly important in November and December is that you've already worked the first quarter of 2021. You know as well as I do that most of what you do is 100 days out. Like before you actually have any result, it's 80 or 100 or 120 days out before something even actually happens, which means your January and February have already existed at some level for the business, which means what you're doing in November and December is actually working your March and your April, which is how you get ahead instead of spending the entire career behind. Number 17, circle back on your stale leads this year. I like having like a stale leads box, if you will. Of course, it's all virtual today. Back in the old days, it was actual box. I feel so old when I say shit like that now, but circle back on your old stale leads. Like people that came through your open houses, one of the smartest things you can do is just keep track of all these people. Throw them in a binder, throw them in a CRM, whatever you want to use. Like when I started using virtual assistants, that's who started doing those things for me. But you could go back and you could find them as long as they're cataloged. You go, all right, where are my stale leads from quarter one? You circle back on those. Where are my stale leads from February? You circle back on those. Now's an incredible time to go back to the people that you talked to in March that didn't go anywhere, or talked to in April that didn't go anywhere. Now, if you're not using an amazing CRM that brings them back to the top of the funnel, you need to start. The only reason that we use an incredible CRM is so that we can throw a lead into it and understand and allow the CRM to do its job to bring the person back in front of you when the motivation and the timing collide. That's why we use a great CRM. So circle back. Number 18, make 3 hot buy videos. Remember I talked about sending custom notifications? This is where you go hot buy video. This is where you go crazy. Hot buy video crazy. You find the homes that came on the market that are the lowest price per square foot in XYZ area, or the home with the most number of bathrooms in XYZ school district, or the home within 5 minutes of, like I live in Portland where all the cool things are. like within 5 minutes of the Nike campus, like whatever it is, or XYZ hospital, something that matters to people. Remember, the brain likes specifics, so give specifics. This is where you do a video. This is so much different than just some buyer instant notification. We used to call those bins, buyer instant notifications, and now they're so common, we don't even have terms for it anymore. But this is where you shoot a quick video. You've got your phone. I made the comment the other day, I was teaching this to my group, and I said, your camera phone. And I'm not sure I'd ever felt older in my life, but you grab your phone and this is where you shoot a video and you're like, listen, I'm here at this house. This one just came on the market. It's great for the holidays because blank, 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 blank. And you send that out to your entire database. Or you let them know, I'm going to go list this home, and you send it out to your entire database. And I know some MLSs have some rules around this. I understand that. But this is where you make 3 hot buy videos a day. Not once a week, like do it per day. If you work 5 days a week, that's 15. Good job at math. I'm amazing at it. I can do it on the fly. But this is where you do the hot buy videos. Remember, people love seeing you. And somebody said the other day, they're like, man, I don't like how I look on camera. It's like, well, you don't look any better in person. So you just have to at some level make peace with this, right? This is a personal sales business. So make peace with it and send the videos out. I teach in the 51 list why and how I strategically made my hot buy videos while I was showing homes to people. So go check out the 51 list. You could use it. Number 19, use deep data. This is where, like right now, we didn't have this 10 years ago, but we have it today. This is where you use companies like likely.ai, and Lacey will drop that into the comment for us. This is artificial intelligence. This is where you're using, and it's not even, I don't know, my friend Alvaro, who runs Sync, started calling it authentic intelligence, which I think is actually a better term than artificial intelligence, because it's authentic, like it's reality, right? But my friend Brad over at likely.ai has developed this system. We use them in 96 cities where they're constantly scouring an area and a group of people, and then they're telling you most likely or least likely to sell. Now, real quick, likely.ai, if you go to their website, Lacey will drop the link there. They're this close, like very, very close to having what I think is the coolest opportunity for realtors that we've never seen before. I started talking to Brad this summer. In fact, we put the deal together at the end. Well, it's not really a deal. I'm not being paid for it at all, actually, so it's a horrible deal for me. But we put together the product. I was driving to a wedding this fall. It was an awesome, anyway, it was such a great day. Anyway, we put together the product, and what he's done is this. I said, what would it be like if we took someone's database, like 200 or 2,000 people, and you ran them through your AI filter, and you could look at a realtor's database and say, listen, based on their activity online, these are the ones that are most likely to least likely to want to sell or buy in the next near future. And he goes, no one's ever done that. I said, well, is there a way to do it? And he goes, well, yeah, it's just a matter of getting it done. And we have spent months getting it to the point we are like this close, you can actually start ordering it. And I think the discount code, Lacey, does it give them a discount like for their first 100 people for free? Yeah. So the first 100 people of your database are free, and the rest are incredibly affordable. Anyway, go and check them out. My man Brad at likely.ai. My guess is a year from now or 2 years from now, this will be a common practice for realtors. Why wouldn't you want to take your database and score it and know most likely to least likely? This one's most likely to say yes, least likely to say yes. All right, Scooter, let's start with this list. Like, I may not have finished high school, but I can do this one pretty fast. Let's start here. So check them out. 20, call expireds from quarters 2 and 3. I wish we had more expireds. We don't have a ton of expireds in the market. However, expireds and FSBOs are still a big piece of business. They always have been, they always will be. There's going to be ups and downs. And my friends over at LandVoice probably do the best job on planet Earth of finding data. And one of the things that you might find, I'm not sure what Christoph has up his sleeve. They're always offering some kind of discount. When I give people's names, I tell them, listen, the only thing that I want is for you to give people that show up because of me a hell of a good deal. Just give them a great deal. And so whatever it is they have going on for you, they'll give you the best pricing available. Go check out LandVoice. You can buy their old expireds, because right now in your market, most of my markets that I'm selling in, we don't have a ton of expireds. Like everything is selling, things are selling that shouldn't be selling. That's a fact. But a LandVoice can get you old data. And calling somebody from 3 months ago or even 3 years ago, I was finding with an agent this year that I was working with that they were having to call 3 years ago expireds, but they were finding business in it. Anyway, check out LandVoice. Number 21, send text scripts to for sale by owners. Remember, 13% of emails get open. This is worth writing. 13% of emails get open. That's the number that big business tells us. 91% of text messages get opened. You should be already incredibly down the road of text marketing. I don't know. We beat our head against the walls getting an email just right. And then the reality is only 13% even open it. And what we don't know is what percentage of people that open it read the damn thing. But text is where it's at. So send the text script for sale by owners. The easy text to send to for sale by owners is something around your holiday marketing plan. Come from value. Listen, we're both trying to sell homes. You're trying to sell one. I'm trying to sell them all. I've developed a holiday marketing plan, and I was thinking maybe you could use it. It's free. Would you like it? That's an easy text. By the way, FSBOs are easy to text because they put their damn cell phone number on everything. Number 22, handwritten notes to for sale by owners and expireds. Go back and talk to them. Go back and touch them. Send them a note. Let them know that you're thinking about them. As much as you might not have FSBOs and expireds in your market this year, this might not be part of your beating the seller Scrooge this year, but it could be next year. It probably was last year. This could be just one of those years that we don't have a lot. Number 23, look for withdrawals. I have to tell you this way. When you look for withdrawals, a withdrawn listing is not a listing that you go and take. That damn thing is still listed by somebody. They still have an exclusive services agreement signed. So you can't, don't tell somebody Cody said to go do it, because that's a lie. What I said was this: go and look for withdrawn listings. There's no time in the market other than November and December to have the highest rate of withdrawn listings. And here's what you do. You call the filter, you call the agent, and you say, listen, I know it's withdrawn. Is it withdrawn because they're not selling, or withdrawn because they don't want to show during the holidays? 90% of the time in November, December, it's because of the holidays. And what you do is you create a list, and then you take that list and you communicate it back to your database, and you say, listen, I know about 6 homes or 8 homes in your price range or the type of home that you want to buy or the area that are not actively on the market, but I know the seller wants to sell. Do you want to go see those? You also use that in all the conversations that you have with buyers and sellers, especially buyers between now and the end of the year. Working with you should unlock the door to going to see the withdrawn listings. By the way, why wouldn't somebody want to see that? And what you'll find is 9 times out of 10, the realtor would say, yes, it's withdrawn because of the holidays. Could we show it to one person? If they're incredibly motivated, could we show it to one person? Don't care what day, don't care time, whatever works for the seller. The majority, if they still want to sell, they're going to say yes to that. Withdrawn listings is an easy thing to go pick up. Then it's an easier thing to market back to your buyers. Remember, working with you should give them an opportunity for exclusivity and scarcity. So go back and talk to them. Number 24, look up your old FSBOs and watch for their sweet spot. So in a normal year, when you've been working for sale by owners all year, there's a sweet spot somewhere between week 13 and 16. I don't know why, but I've done it for a really long time. There's a sweet spot, week 13 to week 16. There's no better time. If that sweet spot lands during the holidays, it's time to go back and list. But let me say this real quick. That's why keeping track of it matters. Most people don't, but go back and keep track, like have a binder or a book or a list or whatever, so that you can go back and look and go, all right, this one's matured enough. It's like really good cheese or really good wine, right? Like this one's old enough. Now's the time. It's 13 weeks. Let's go back. It's 14 weeks. Let's go back. It's week 4. Unless they're incredibly motivated, it's probably premature. It's probably too soon. Number 25, know your numbers and your scripts. There is no better time than November and December when you're trying to beat the seller Scrooge so your business stays insulated during the holidays. There's no more pressure than now for you to actually know your stuff. But it's really easy not to. It falls back into the easy principle. It's easy to do. It's easy not to do. You know what? It's easy to eat right. It's easy not to eat right. It's easy to be an amazing partner to somebody. It's easy not to be an amazing partner to somebody. It's easy to build a great big real estate sales business. That's awesome. It's also easy not to do. Knowing your numbers and knowing your scripts. By the way, on scripts, I wish our industry would quit calling them scripts. I wish we'd call them dialogues. There aren't any scripts. Scripts are for movies and they're for actors where you say ABC, they say ABC. That's not real life. Real life is a dialogue. Real life is a framework. I'm going to say these things. I don't know what the rest of the conversation looks like yet. So know your scripts and know your dialogues, know your numbers. Number 26, leverage a dialer. You need speed right now. This is speed to opportunity. Or if it's an inbound lead, it's speed to lead, right? But this is speed to opportunity. You have to work harder right now. You may have to double contacts. You may have to double the amount of work just to make the same amount of money because there's less business in November and December than any other 2 months out of the freaking year. So you have to do more with less. You have to do more in less time. We like to use dialers. Now, before you get me in trouble, before you go out and get yourself in trouble, use dialers that are legal. Like most areas, you can't use the old, I loved them, but you can't use the dialers anymore where they would call 4 at one time and pick up the one that said yes or said hello. I understand that. We're using them one-to-one. We're using them where it's one line, it's one ring. But what it really does is this: it keeps track of your numbers and it keeps you on focus. The second thing, though, is this: you could pre-record an amazing script, an amazing voicemail, and then instead of saying it 85 times that day, the dialer says it. It's your voice. The dialer just pops it in so that you're not saying it. You're on to the next call. So you can do it and do it legally. A friend of mine got in trouble for over 200 grand for misusing a dialer. Be careful. That doesn't mean that you can't. It just means you have to ask the question, how can I do it correctly? But use a dialer. Number 27, use a buyer brought by sign. This is something that I taught for a really long time in the 7 steps to 10 listings, which I think is awesome. Go check it out. If you haven't downloaded the ebook, it's called 7 steps to 10 listings. Check out the ebook. It's the first one that I've ever published. I had fun doing it. It'd be my pleasure if you got it. It's free. You can have it at that website. But we talk about use a buyer brought by sign. And the buyer brought by sign works incredibly well in this market where it's tight. It's where when you sell the house, go listen to you can listen to it online, but when you sell the house, the other realtor, the listing agent, got all the juice from the sign. True, unless you use a buyer brought by sign, which is legal in every single market. There's some subdivisions that won't allow it, but that's incredibly rare, so don't worry about it. As in like less than 1% of 1%. Like it's literally nothing, but it does happen. But you use a buyer brought by sign. It's one of the greatest tactics that I've seen top agents take from that class and go and use and come back and say, oh my God, the buyer brought by sign, I sold 25 more homes this year. There's no better, again, there's no better partner you could have in your city or where you work than that title executive. What they'll do, the good ones, the amazing ones, the ones that are world-class, like the one I work with here in Portland, incredible, over the top. And of course we work with, whatever, I'm just saying Portland. They'll develop what we call a PEP, a personalized escrow plan that's personal to your business, personal to your buyers and your sellers. The best thing, I wasn't going to talk about this, but I'll say it real quick. My referrals went through the roof when I began having referral requests done during closing. And it was the last piece of paper. Because the buyer and the seller, what percentage of the paper do they have to go through to be able to close? 100%. They don't get to skip any of the forms. And so the last form, and some of my partners do it as the first form, that's fine too. That form is given by the closer, and that's the questionnaire, the survey of how we did during the transaction. I used to pay people, like my staff, $25 for every questionnaire they could get turned back in, because we would go and ask the buyer and seller after closing. But that was the most ridiculous time. My title executive said, well, gosh, Cody, why don't you let us do it during closing? And I'll bet we'll get 100%. And I went, oh my God, that's freaking brilliant. I'd never even thought of it, though she offered it and said, why don't you do it here with us at closing? And I was like, all right. And so we started having the form delivered by the closer. 100% got filled out. We got better numbers. Like we understood where we were helping and where we were falling short on customer service. That was number one. It told us how we were being viewed by our customers. It got us more reviews online. They'd hand them an iPad and say, are you ready to give a 5-star review? Of course. What we also found was this, though, the last question on the questionnaire, and if you ever want our questionnaire, just send me a message, we'll get it to you. The last question was something to do with referrals. Like, do you know anybody wants to buy or sell right now or whatever? And that number, sometimes it'd be blank, of course, but that number alone went through the roof. And that was all part of having a PEP, a personalized escrow plan with our title exec, that when that happened for me, man, that exploded my business. I didn't realize how important that relationship was until then. All right, so use a buyer brought by sign. You got the gist of it, but go check out the 7 steps to 10 listings. It is still on YouTube, I think. I don't think we've taken it down, but you can check it out there. Number 28, do an unsolicited API. Unsolicited APIs, these are absorption-based pricing indexes, one of the coolest ways to find listings during November and December. It's one of the best ways that my team has found listings for years. Now, an API, I learned this from a guy in my market named Nick Shivers, and it's freaking brilliant. An API is an absorption-based pricing index. Basically, it's the CMA, only better done. And so you and I would understand CMA as the term, but I don't like using terms that everybody else uses. I just want to be different. And that goes back to one of my favorite books. One of my favorite authors is Seth Godin, and he talked about Purple Cow. By the way, all of his books on marketing, freaking fire. Like they're straight gold for realtors. Anyway, Purple Cow, I wish we had more time. The unsolicited API, though, this is where you find something in your database and you send them an email. The script has to be this. It only works well this way. Dear whatever, or hello whatever, nobody cares. I was doing some research on your real estate holdings, and it appears or looks or seems, whatever term you want to use is fine, that your home might be worth about blank in this market during the holidays. The only tweak we make during the holidays is we add during the holidays. We will sometimes add a line that says why it's better during the holidays, and we allude to less competition. Anytime you want to sell something, sell it when there's less competition. Anyway, so that's the script. But there's a little blue link when it says click here, or we assume your home is worth about blank right now. The blank is a hyperlink that takes them to a page. You would never put the PDF in there because then you can't track their eyeballs. And so you redirect them to another page that you can actually track their eyeballs. And then you know how many times have they opened that email? How many times have they opened the email and click the link and go to the link and look at it there? Well, when you're making calls on Monday, that's the person that you call and you act dumb, which has always been easy for me. You act dumb and you're like, hey, John, just calling to see how you're doing. And man, I sent you an email last week about your home being worth about blank. Did you have a chance to see that? And of course, you know that John looked at it Tuesday at 2 p.m., Wednesday at 4 p.m., Thursday again at 9 a.m. You don't say that because that's where it crosses the line of being very creepy. So you don't say it. You just play dumb and you ask. But the unsolicited API is an easy way to uncover potential listings during November and December. We use it all year, though. Like for my friends that want listings all the time, unsolicited APIs are golden. Now, if you have any fear and you're like, man, I'm not a technology genius, Cody, you lost me at blue hyperlink and an additional page. I developed a company called Swift Hippo. We do it there. You're welcome to use that. You can check it out at swifthippo.com. What Swift Hippo is, was we developed the most affordable, seller-focused, pay-per-click, AdWord-driven system, I think, that exists on the market. I got tired of it costing people $1,500 a month or $1,000 a month just to play the game, and I wanted something that was seller specific. So if you check out Swift Hippo, it'd be my honor. I do own that company, so if you buy something from there, I do benefit from that. The others, I just hand out the names. But if you go to swifthippo.com, all the information's there. Anyway, or what you can also do, that blue hyperlink, just go find somebody about 15 years old and say, listen, what the hell does this mean and how do I make this happen? So it'd be like how your parents got the VCR taken care of. Yeah, you helped them with the programming. Number 29, price increases. Don't be afraid of price increases right now. The main time that I ever did price increases was November and December. And they don't have to go up much, but the reason is the hot sheet. Like you see, like every time there's a massive change, or excuse me, a change in a listing, like a price reduction, well, it goes right back to the top of the list, or the hot sheet is what it's called in a lot of areas. Well, a price increase does the same thing. And sometimes, I don't know, I haven't met a market that's more apt for a price increase than the one you and I are sitting in. Now, I understand that if the home is still active and it hasn't sold, it's probably overpriced. Like, I understand that. But the marketing behind it is I want it back on the hot sheet. And as long as my seller understands why we're doing it and how we're doing it, there's no harm, no foul there. You might as well do it. I'm willing to do anything if it's legal and if it helps. So do a price increase. Number 30, incentives to make it worth their time. I'm going to give you a script that I think is going to be golden for you if you use it. So I'm going to give it to you the way that I wrote it. Can we let the money buy you out of the inconvenience? Can we let the money buy you out of the inconvenience? There's no doubt that being listed during the holidays is going to be a little inconvenient. Even with an amazing holiday marketing plan that you create, there's going to be some inconvenience. So can we let the money we're going to make, the escalated money that we're going to make, the ballooned money we're going to make, the inflated price we're going to get, can we let that buy you out of the inconvenience? Can we let that be the payment for the pain in the ass that it might be to be listed during the holidays? It's a great script. Incentives to make it worth their time. And I'm not about commissionectomies. I'm not about going around and saying, hey, I'll do it for this or do it for that. But what I do mean is this: maybe you go to your sellers, the active ones, or the ones that you want to list, and you say, listen, you know what? The holidays are a little bit tough. One of the things I provide in my holiday marketing plan is I'm going to take care of the cleaning. I'm going to send a cleaner in every other week for November and December, which is going to cost you 4 cleanings, which, by the way, if you send that cleaner tons and tons and tons of business, might not cost you very much money or even be free for you or be just a little bit. Maybe that's something you offer that you wouldn't offer in May, but you offer it in November and December, and you just take it off the list. You're like, listen, I'm going to take care of that. Or you have a great holiday lights guy, and you're like, listen, you know what? As long as we're listed during November and December, I'm going to pay the $250 to get the lights put up. I'll take care of that. There's lots of ideas. Make incentives, though. No one's going to be offended when you offer an incentive, but I want you to write this down. Deals. Like when I use incentives for active sellers, that's one thing. If I'm going to use incentives for sellers that I don't have yet, deals are not relationship openers. Deals are relationship closers. When used as an opener, they're cheesy, they're smarmy, they're exactly how you're afraid they sound. But when it's a relationship closer, someone you've talked to 4 times, someone you've talked to for 10 weeks, and you're using, like in the 7 steps to 10 listings, we talk about follow-up Wednesdays. That's the easiest place to find your people, by the way. But when you're using the follow-up Wednesdays process, the incentives are relationship closers, never openers, but use them. Number 31, have a cleaning package for holiday listings. Whether you pay for it or they pay for it, it's going to be a challenge. One of the things I've learned is this: the easiest way to make money is to identify problems and offer solutions to those problems. I'm no genius, but I can do that. And so we know that cleaning's a pain in the ass no matter what. We know it's always difficult. We know it's always a pain, but it's even more November and December. So offer to take care of it for them, or at least have a package and say, listen, you can call my cleaner. He's going to give you XYZ discount. All right. Number 32, leverage the draw of holiday lights and activities. If you're going to leverage the draw, what I mean is this: go take listings and go work listings that are specific and open houses that are specific to what's going on in your city. So like if you've got like in Portland, we have one street called Peacock Lane. Man, if you could have a listing anywhere near Peacock Lane during the holidays, your traffic is over the top because you've got thousands and thousands and thousands of cars driving that one road to get over to Peacock Lane. And every year that I go, there's always a for sale sign I promise if I lived on that street, I would only sell at Christmas time because you have thousands of people walking by. But in your city, there's something. There's some type of an event. There's some type of get together. There's some type of something going on. There's a holiday tree lighting, or it's a parade, or like in Portland, we have the raceway here and they do like this cool thing that you drive through. There's 100 ideas. But what I want you to do is I want you to use that as a couple things. One, listings or open houses around them. Get people to understand it. Number 2, though, tell people. Like there's nobody who should be more connected in your community than you. You should be the source that's telling your entire database, listen, here's what's happening with the tree lighting this year. I just found out that they're not going to do it, or they're going to do a virtual tree lighting. I don't know what cities are going to do. It's going to be different everywhere. This is the strangest year on planet Earth, right? So whatever it is, you be the person that disseminates the information. Here's what I want you to write down. Whoever people are listening to right now determines who they work with tomorrow, which means you can't over communicate. You can't talk too much. You can't give too much value. But the reason people don't communicate is they don't have anything valuable to say, which puts the foot on your throat and provides pressure of, I've got to have something worth saying. That's 32. We were at 32. That was the end, right? Okay, great. So if you enjoyed this, I hope that you did. If you want to throw some money in the pot for No Kid Hungry, we were at just under, we're like $2,990 before we started. I haven't had a chance to calculate or put together any more numbers. Have you done them? All right, great. So now we're over 3,350. That's awesome. That goes on top of the 13 grand we raised last week. That's incredible. If you want, you can donate. Cody Gibson at kw.com is the easiest. Cody Gibson at kw.com. That's my own email address. I think I should know it. Is PayPal. Or you can go to codygibson.com. You can donate there. That would be awesome. Did you have a chance to drop in the link for November 19th? Okay, so Lacey's creating it right now. I kind of sprung it on her, but we'll email it out to you. So we'll send it to you. If you want to get into the mindset one, that's only mindset. It's not about selling. November the 19th, it'll be at 11 a.m. Pacific time. I hope you enjoyed this today. Hope you got some value from it. I've enjoyed being here with you. If I can help you, Cody Gibson at kw.com. If we're not connected on Instagram, let's get connected there, Cody Gibson 1. If we're not Facebook friends, whenever I feel bad about myself, I go to Facebook. It says I'm full of friends. Can't take any more, but you can follow Cody Gibson there. Love to connect with you there as well. If I can help, my cell phone is 907-529-5172, which I never handed out before really COVID started. And what I found was this industry has been incredible to me for 20 years. It's been really, really good to me. And I've had some people this year that I've handed that number out to that have reached out and just been like, you know what? This year has kicked my ass. Like I am struggling like I've never struggled before. And those 5-minute conversations, they matter. So right now I'm all in. I'm doing what you're doing. I wake up early, I grab my phone and I work hard. I stay up late, I got my phone in my hand and I work hard. So if I could help you, like this is where we work together on this. Our industry has never been poised for more opportunity. Our industry's also never faced more potential damage. That's the time that we're in right now. So 907-529-5172. Thank you so much for being here. It's been my pleasure. Have an amazing day. Talk to you soon. Are you killing it from over there or am I killing it from over here? I always feel like I just stand here for a minute.